Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. A very warm good morning to everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. I welcome you all to today's live session of the Hindu Newspaper Analysis. As you know, every single day of the week, live at 10 a.m. sharp, we start analyzing the Hindu newspaper for the day, both for the mains and for the prelims examination point of view. I also hope that all of you are attending the Telegram quiz that we have right after this. The Telegram quiz is mainly based on the topics that we discuss right here so that you can get a better grasp of the topics that we are discussing over here. Let's see what are the topics that we have for you. As you know, usually in Sunday newspapers in the Hindu, you do not see the editorial page. However, even then, the Sunday newspapers, as I told you earlier, are very important because on Sundays, you usually have science-related news. So, a lot of you, and we have seen this in the comment also, keep on saying, why are we not discussing more science-related news? Why are we not discussing more environment-related news? That is because those kind of news usually don't come in the Hindu newspaper every single day. But on Sundays, you see a lot of science and technology-related articles. So please do not miss Sunday newspapers just because they don't have the editorial. From today, we will be discussing these topics. From the mains point of view, we have two important in-depth topics. That is, first, Indian government's decision to reject Johnson & Johnson's patent on their TB drug. Second topic that we'll be discussing in detail is government's push to mega textile parks. How will it boost the textile sector? The significance of textile sector, mainly about the PM Mitra Yojana. Then from the prelims point of view, we have a lot of other news stories. For example, the Supreme Court has given states, union territories and high courts 3 months to set up their own online portals for RTI, those who have not done that. Then India's first cable-stayed railway bridge is nearing completion in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. We'll be discussing where that is exactly and the significance. Then a new technique from where some scientists in China are saying that they can now see at the nuclear fuel and they can identify whether the nuclear fuel was used in a weapon, whether it was used in generating nuclear power, etc. Then we'll be discussing about the MSME sector. Is the MSME sector growing or is it static? And in the end, the last topic that we'll be discussing is about how sleep actually impacts your health. These are the topics that we have here lined up for you. So without waiting any further, let's begin with the very first topic that we have. The first topic that we have is related to multiple issues actually. First big issue, it talks about TB, that is tuberculosis as a disease. Second, it talks about India's patent laws. India's patent laws. Now let's try and understand the concept of patent laws first and then let's look at what happened here. Let's take a very simple example. Let's assume there is a new kind of a disease that has come in, like COVID-19 was a disease that no one was prepared for. Now to treat that disease, many companies will now start their research, they will try to make vaccine, they will try to make medicines, etc. Now the problem is, when these pharmaceutical companies will research to make new medicines and vaccines, they would be spending a lot of money in that. They would be ensuring that they research time and time again. Sometimes the research may be successful, sometimes may not be successful. Meaning that researching and bringing out any new medicine, any new drug requires a lot of money. So what the companies do is, when they release a new medicine or when they have a new vaccine, etc., they try and file a patent for it. Patent is a law that says that whatever you have invented, no one is allowed to copy it for some time period. So usually patents are issued for a period of 20 years. In India also, the patent law is, if you discovered something new, you apply for a patent, usually it is given for 20 years. Meaning that for the first 20 years, no one else will be allowed to copy this. You are the only company that is able to manufacture this so that you can sell it at a higher cost and you can earn back the money that you have spent. This is the entire idea of a patent. That if you have made a new discovery, if you have made a new invention, that is very important. You have spent money, you have spent time and your expertise. You do not want others to copy this. So what you can do is you can ensure that it is protected through a patent. So at least for 20 years, no one will be able to copy it. Only you will be able to earn benefit. Now what happens is, when the 20 years are over, after 20 years come to an end, this is where the problem starts. Because when the 20 years come to an end, other companies also now want to start making the same product and sell it at a cheaper price. So the original company that would have made the medicine or the vaccine, now they worry that their profit margin will reduce. So many companies now want to extend their patent. So many companies keep on applying after 20 years that we want to extend the patent. Now to extend the patent once again, the companies have to prove that they have made another new discovery. You can only extend the patent if you think that a new discovery has been made. This is where the problem starts. Johnson & Johnson has a very important medicine, the medicine that is used to treat tuberculosis. That medicine is called bedaquiline. So this bedaquiline is a TB medicine that Johnson & Johnson produces. They have a patent on this medicine that is now about to expire in a few months. They had actually made an appeal in India because they want to extend the patent. They were telling the government of India, we want patent for 20 more years. However, this application of extension of patent has been rejected. The Indian Patent Office said that no, we can't grant you a patent after this also, meaning that now other companies, other pharmaceutical companies will also be allowed to make the same vaccine and they can sell it now at a cheaper price. What will it do? It will reduce the price of the medicine considerably because there will be much more competition in the market. So for the end consumer, it will be a good thing. But usually these companies obviously don't like it. Why would Johnson & Johnson like it? Right now, Johnson & Johnson, J&J as you call it, can sell this medicine at a very high price because they are the only ones making it. But now if 50 or 100 other companies start to make this medicine, they will have to reduce their cost automatically. This is where the problem starts. Now, about tuberculosis also, there are different types of tuberculosis that we have. One is the normal TB tuberculosis as you call it. Then there are some other types of tuberculosis as well. For example, there are drug-resistant tuberculosis. There is drug-resistant TB. Drug-resistant TB means that tuberculosis which cannot be cured by just common regular medicine. If you have tuberculosis and it cannot be cured by just common TB medicine that is usually given, that is a situation which is called drug-resistant tuberculosis. Now, drug-resistant tuberculosis also is of two parts or two types. One, MDR. MDR is called multi-drug resistant, meaning that multiple medicines will not have any impact on you. Your tuberculosis will not be cured by multiple medicines. And then there is an even higher degree that is called XDR. XDR is extensively drug resistant. Now, all these MDR, XDR, the problem with these kind of tuberculosis is that it is considered as a higher order of tuberculosis. These kind of TB cannot be cured by normal regular medicine. And this is why you need advanced medicines like the ones produced by Johnson & Johnson. This is why the Johnson & Johnson medicine is extremely important. It is important especially for those patients who cannot be treated with regular tuberculosis medicines. Now, when you say MDR, that is multi-drug resistant, that is a tuberculosis that will not be cured by normal medicines such as isoniazid and rifampicin. These are the two main medicines given to treat tuberculosis. These are the medicines that usually treat common patients. But if there is a patient who is not being able to be treated because of these two, that means that patient has developed MDR, multi-drug resistant. The next level is XDR. XDR means apart from these two, the patient also cannot be treated with another drug that is called fluoroquinolones. That also becomes a problem. So when you have a patient of tuberculosis on which all these three medicines are not effective, then you require another new medicine. And for that, Johnson & Johnson and these companies charge a lot of money. Also, the Johnson & Johnson medicine for which they want the patent to be extended, it is considered as a much safer form of medicine. It has lesser side effects also, and that is why it is considered as a very good drug for tuberculosis all around the world. Now, as you know, tuberculosis mainly is a bacterial infection. It is caused by bacteria which is called Mycobacteria tuberculosis. Mainly, this bacteria affects your lungs, but that is not always true. It can affect other organs as well. So if it affects the lungs, that's a very severe tuberculosis, but it can affect other parts as well. You might have seen, for example, someone you know might have some kind of a, let's say, infection in the throat. Let's say there is a kind of a stone, etc., that has been taken out from your throat. When they do a biopsy of it, they might see that it had tuberculosis infection. So it's not necessary that the tuberculosis bacteria would only impact your lungs. It can impact other organs as well. When these normal medicines don't work on tuberculosis, this is when you require medicines such as bedaquiline, that is then invented or that is made by Johnson & Johnson. This medicine has to be taken for 6 months. It is lesser harmful as compared to other medicine. It has lower side effects also, and it is sold all around the world because it is very, very, very important for treating all these TB patients. Also, this has been considered as a part of official treatment by the government of India as well. The Union Health Ministry has included using this medicine as a guideline of our programmatic management of MDR, TB. So Government of India also suggests to the hospitals, to the doctors, that you should suggest these kind of medicines to those patients who are not able to get treated with the normal medicine. Now, why is it that the patent was rejected? Let's get to that part first. The Indian Patent Office rejected the patent because of two simple reasons. Also, who were the people fighting against the company? Company wanted the patent to be extended so that they can sell the medicine at a higher cost. But there were two parties fighting against the company. They were Network of Maharashtra People Living with HIV, and second, there is a organization called Nandita Venkatesan and Fumeza Tissel. Both are TB survivors. Both of them want these kind of medicines for tuberculosis to be available at a much, much reduced price. So what was their argument? The argument was that this medicine is mainly made up of fumarate. Now, fumarate is the component that is used in this medicine. Please listen to this carefully. These people who were against Johnson & Johnson, their argument was Johnson & Johnson did not make any new scientific discovery on their own. A patent should only be given if there is a new invention or there is new inventive step that is taken. But in this case, Johnson & Johnson just found an ingredient, that is fumarate, which has a positive impact on TB patients. They did not invent it themselves, they just discovered it. So as per the law, patents should not be granted for something which is not an innovative step, you just discovered it. That is why under this, the Patent Office of India said, we will not give you an extension of the patent because this is just a known substance. You did not make any enhancement in the efficiency. The Johnson & Johnson company cannot claim that they are the ones who enhance the efficiency. They are the ones who were the first one to produce this substance. And that is why the patent has been rejected. Now, as I told you, the biggest advantage of rejection of the patent will be for the common people in India, those who have to buy these medicines for their treatment. Because if the medicine is produced or generated by only one single organization that has a patent over it, they usually sell it at a much higher cost. For example, most of the cancer treatment drugs, the medicine that you require for cancer and these kind of diseases, they are sold at a very high cost because they are sold by only one company that has a patent. When the patent goes away, you will see the medicine cost reduces. For example, when you go to the market, and when you try and buy medicines such as paracetamol, etc., these are available at a very cheap cost. The reason why paracetamol and these kind of regular medicines are available at a cheaper cost is because they don't have a patent now. Any of these pharmaceutical companies will be able to manufacture it, and that is how we have the cost of paracetamol and these medicines coming down. So any medicine that does not have the patent over it will automatically start to see a decline in the cost because it will be produced by a lot of companies altogether. Now, the problem that India has is that we have a lot of patients for tuberculosis. Not just the patients of tuberculosis, we in fact have a large number of patients who have MDR, that is multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. For example, as per this data in the Hindu newspaper, about 55,000 patients in India are the ones who are suffering from MDR, on whom other TB medicines do not work. This medicine of Johnson & Johnson is not very cheap. This medicine has cost of about $40,000 or $400 for 6 months. If you translate this into, let's say, the Indian rupees, it will come down to about 32,000 rupees. 30 to 32,000 rupees for a 6-month course. This is not cheap. A lot of people suffering from TB would not be able to afford spending 32,000 rupees for a 6-month time period. And that is why the government has to ensure that these patients also can afford it. Now, the interesting part is patent laws in India have been criticized by the developed nations over the past few years. US, etc. keep on saying that India and India's IPR laws, when I say IPR, I mean intellectual property rights. India's IPR, that is intellectual property right laws, have been criticized by the developed nations. Countries such as US and other European countries, they say that India's patent law should be more strict, that India should actually ensure that all these kind of patents are restricted, these kind of patents are not copied by anyone. They claim that India's patent laws are not correct, they are not very strict. For example, in India, even if you have a patent on something, it is easy for someone else to copy it. When you go to the court against that person, it's a very long process of fighting this kind of a case in the court. In US, on the other hand, it is very easy that if someone violates your patent, you can easily go to the court and get the punishment. But in India, that is not the case. Now, in India, we do have a patent law. For example, we have the Patent Act of 1970 that was formed to have provisions about patents, how the patents will be issued, who can issue the patents, and also it says that patents will be for 20 years. Remember, patents are not for entire lifetime. Patents are usually in most countries for 20 years only, and after 20 years the patents go away. The Indian patent law was also changed recently in 2021. What was the change? The change was that if there is an educational institution like the universities, etc., that do a lot of research. So if there's an education institution doing a lot of research, for them patent fee will be reduced. For them it will be made easier to file patents because a lot of research institutions, etc., keep on filing the patent, etc. So India does have patent laws, not that these patent laws don't exist, but does that the US and other developed countries think that these kind of patent laws in India are not very strict. Now, I want you to know two more very important terms with regards to patents and IPR. These two terms are something that you keep on hearing time and time again. One important term with respect to patent is evergreening of patents. Now, what do you mean by this? A lot of times what happens is when the patent is coming to an end, let's say the 20-year patent is coming to an end, the companies want to extend this patent further. So what they do is they make a very small change in their product, very small, very minor. And then they claim that, oh, we now have a new product, please grant us the patent once again. Let's take an example. Let's assume Johnson & Johnson goes to the Indian Patent Office. They say that now this is a new medicine and they have not made any change. They have just changed the color of the medicine. Let's say tablet was earlier pink, now it is blue or now it is white. And they say now please grant us the patent once again, because we have changed something very amazingly in the product. This practice is called evergreening of patents. Evergreening of patent means when the companies make very minute changes in the product which are not at all responsible for any end result, but then they claim to the government that you have to grant us a new patent because we have changed something. That is called evergreening. In India, evergreening of patents is not allowed. In India, evergreening is not allowed, meaning that if the company just makes a very small change in the product, doesn't mean that they will be given patent once again. It is not allowed in India. Second, another very, very important term that you should know is something called compulsory licensing. Please do understand on both of these topics, evergreening of patents and compulsory licensing, on both of these topics, questions have been asked in the past. What is compulsory licensing? Let's take a simple example. Let's assume that there is a company that has been able to produce COVID-19 vaccine or medicine. Please understand this. Let's say there is a company, XYZ. They claim that they have now made a medicine, a tablet. Anyone who has COVID-19, they can eat the tablet and they will be fine. No medicine, no other vaccine required, nothing else is required. Just like you have paracetamol as a painkiller, similarly if they invent a medicine. Now, if only one company has made this medicine, and let's assume many people are dying all across the world, this company will want to earn profit, they will start selling their medicine at a very high price. But if, let's say in India, many people are dying right now, Government of India can take a step in emergency situations where the Government of India may allow an Indian company also to copy this product. That will not be considered as a violation of the patent. Let me repeat what I said. If there is a situation where there is a kind of a health emergency, lot of people are dying in a country just because they can't afford the excessively priced medicine, because the medicine is very, very expensive, people can't afford it. Government in that case can ask an Indian company to copy that medicine and sell it at a lower price. That will not be considered as a violation of the patent. This is called compulsory licensing. It is allowed under WTO's TRIPS agreement. So WTO allows it that if there's an emergency situation, the governments can allow the patents to be violated and the medicine can be produced by other company also at a lower price as well. The problem here is there is no proper definition of what will be the emergency. Will the emergency mean 100 people have died already? Does the emergency mean 1000 people have died already? What does the word emergency mean? There is no clarity on that. This is also something which people have objected to. For example, what has happened in the past is we have seen in India, Government of India has allowed certain companies to copy cancer-related medicines and sell it at a cheaper price. When they sell these medicines at a very cheap price, these companies will give some part of their profit to the original company who holds the patent. But obviously, original company will not be happy with this because they want to earn more money. This is called compulsory licensing. So I hope all of you understood the meaning of evergreening of patents and compulsory licensing. Both are important. One more thing about this, the Government of India is extremely serious about the tuberculosis disease as a problem. So Government of India has been running a program called Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Abhiyan. This is a scheme under which the Government of India wants to eliminate TB by 2025. The objective is to ensure that TB patients get all the support, to have medicines available to TB patients, also to get help from the corporate sector, because tuberculosis is one of those diseases that is common in India. If you don't have multiple drug-resistant tuberculosis, it is not very difficult to treat. Yes, the medication is very long. You can't even miss one single day of medication. However, the problem here is that tuberculosis as a disease has still not been completely eliminated in the country. Under this TB Mukt Abhiyan, the Government of India runs something called the Nikshay Mitra initiative. The Nikshay Mitra initiative, under which doctors will support those people who have been suffering from tuberculosis. They will help them with changing their day-to-day activities. We also have something called Nikshay Digital Portal, under which community support will be given to people who are suffering from tuberculosis. All these are components of Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Abhiyan. Please do read about this also. It is extremely important. This brings us to the end of the first topic. We went into a lot of detail because this is extremely important. Let me take up a few questions. Ashu is saying, can XDR and MDR be called as second, third stage of TB disease? No. They are not different stages of TB disease. They are a TB disease only. They are named like this just because the patients are not responsive enough to some medicines. So they are not third or fourth form of TB. No, that is not the case. Yes, bedaquiline is being able to cure multi-drug resistance and extremely drug-resistant TB, both. Okay. Then I have Sabha saying, who checks what sort of changes have been made in the medicine? Sabha, if you are referring to evergreening of patents concept, then the companies have to submit all the reports to the patent office with proof that we have made these changes and that change. Then the Indian Patent Office will then investigate whether these changes are true or not, and then they will decide whether patent has to be given or not. Okay. Fatima is saying every country has its own rules. Yes, for patent, every country has their own laws. Then apart from that, we also have the WTO that also has laws such as compulsory licensing is a law under WTO's TRIPS agreement. Okay. Then Saurav, I can see your comment, but I would rather advise you to not copy paste all these comments time and time again. It is better that you allow the others to go ahead. Okay, I'll take one last question before we go ahead. Vanchika is saying how patents are rejected. So it depends on the Indian Patent Office. They will have to see if patent is deserved or not, if there has been a new discovery in the patent or not. Only then the patent will be given. Perfect. Let's move ahead then. The second important topic from today's The Hindu newspaper is about the government of India's push to textile industry. A few days back, if you remember, we had a discussion on something called the PM Mitra scheme. The PM Mitra scheme, under which the government of India has been trying to set up mega textile parks. The government of India recently announced that textile parks will be set up in 7 different states. The government has already given a budget of close to 4,500 crores for this. The government of India wants to give much more push to textile industry. These parks will include every activity related to textile, including spinning, weaving, dyeing, printing, etc. This will lead to a lot of generation of jobs. The government expects 20 lakh jobs to be generated from these kind of initiatives. Now, the question is, why is it that the government is focusing so much on the textile sector? What advantages does the textile sector have? And what is it that we are trying to achieve out of it? Now, as I told you, the PM Mitra scheme in simple terms is about setting up textile parks. Now, what is the concept of textile parks? Usually, if you see how exactly is it that textile is made, there are different places. For example, spinning will happen at some other place, then weaving will happen at some other place, then printing will happen at some other place. So there are different types of places where all these things take place, and then the end final product is delivered to the market. Now, when you have different places in which all these activities related to textile are taking place, it takes a lot of time for transportation, etc., for connectivity. So government of India is trying to bring all of this under one single roof, where all the activities related to textile will happen all together. This will be the concept of textile parks. The government has already announced setting up these textile parks in 7 states. As we discussed earlier as well, these will be run collectively by center and the state government. These will be run by SPVs. SPV are special purpose vehicles, means companies that are made, that are registered for one specific purpose. So each and every one of these textile parks will be run by these SPVs. These SPVs have 51% shareholding of the state and 49% of the center. Please do remember this fact. This is important for the examination point of view. This SPV, that is a special purpose vehicle that will run these textile parks, will be a collaboration between center and the state, but in what proportion? 51% from the state, 49% from the center. Also, state government will give the land and become a part of the special purpose vehicle. They will also give the required permissions. Central government, on the other hand, is expected to give support of up to 500 crore rupees for all these facilities. This 500 crore rupees will be given in 2 installments, 250 crores and 250 crores, so that initially all this textile park will be set up. Now, these textile parks will also be open to foreign direct investment, that is FDI. They are being set up mainly in those states that already have a good textile industry. Those states which can accommodate workers, they also have connections to other industries. Only those states which already have a booming textile industry, mainly those are the ones where the government is focusing right now. Now, The government mainly wants to help the MSMEs here. The MSME sector is the one that mainly dominates the textile and apparel sector. We discussed this earlier also. The important thing about textile sector is one such sector which can generate a lot of jobs, and it does not require very high level of skills. Meaning that in a country such as India, where there are a lot of people with not very high levels of skill, those can also be accommodated in jobs in the textile sector. So textile sector actually allows the government to ensure job opportunities to many more people as compared to earlier. Many more people who may not be suitable for jobs in other kind of sectors, they can come here. Secondly, textile sector is not very power intensive. It doesn't require a lot of very high tech machinery like semiconductor chips, etc. So setting up these kind of industries, textile sector is not that difficult, and it also has an opportunity, and it also provides jobs to many people who are not even at the highest level of the skills. That is why the textile sector is very important. It is closely related to the MSME. MSMEs control about 80% of textile sector in the country, and the government wants to give it a push so that they can also improve their employment generation. Right now, textile sector is mainly dominated by China. Many nations also want to compete against China. Many companies are moving out of China now, and other nations are trying to attract those companies. Bangladesh and Vietnam have been very good in that. Bangladesh and Vietnam, for example, have been able to attract a lot of textile companies to make their merchandise, to make their apparels in their nations. Bangladesh has really emerged as the global hub of merchandise and all these manufacturing. You go to Zara showrooms, you go to H&M, and when you see these tags of t-shirts or tops, etc., just see the tag. Many of the tags will say made in Bangladesh or made in Vietnam. So Bangladesh, for example, has emerged as a global hub. Indian government is trying to do the same as well. It is not just about making textiles for India. We also want to export textiles as well. The government of India has made an aim of achieving $100 billion in export in textiles, and by 2030 we want to achieve $250 billion domestic target as well. So by 2030 the target is we should export textile worth $100 billion, and for the local market we should be able to produce textiles worth $250 billion. All this can be achieved, the government thinks, through the textile parks. We want to increase our global share in the textile sector. Right now, India only accounts for 5% of the global share in the textile sector. There are countries which have improved their standing in textiles, such as Turkey, by setting up such textile parks. So India is not the first country to set up such kind of textile park. Turkey has already done this, and we can learn from their example as well. Now, the government of India has been focusing on the textile sector even before setting up these textile parks. This is not the first ever initiative by the government in this sector. For example, we already have the National Technical Textile Mission to enhance the technical consumption and to enhance the quality of textile manufactured in India. Then we also have amended Technology Upgradation Fund scheme, under which the government of India wants to give more funding to those kind of new research going on in the textile field. We have scheme for integrated textile parks. Again, the government is setting up clusters so that the textile industry can get a push and their manufacturing can improve. They also have the Samarth scheme. Samarth here stands for Scheme for Capacity Building in the Textile Sector. The government is trying to train as many people to join the sector as possible. We also have the Northeast Region Textile Promotion Scheme, and we have the I Care Jute project as well to give a push to those areas where jute production is seen, mainly in West Bengal, etc. All these initiatives suggest how the government realizes the importance of textile sector in making more jobs and in increasing India's stature as an export majority country. So textile has become a very important part of India's plans going forward. There are certain challenges also in the textile sector. It is highly fragmented, means a lot of very small companies are involved in this, distributed all over the place. There is no common connection in the chain of logistics right now. The technology is outdated mainly. We have not been inventing a lot of new kind of inventions have not been done. You might see new kind of inventions in designs and styles, etc. But the machines at the back end that are making these designs are still the same. There are tax structure issue as well. For example, GST is very different for different types of products. For a finished product, let's say you buy ready-made clothes, the GST will be different. When you buy clothes which are not converted into dresses, you just buy raw clothes, that GST will be different. So there is a complicated tax structure also in the textile industry. Export have stagnated. For some years now, India's textile export has remained up to $40 billion only. We are not able to increase it to what our target is. We are also facing competition from the neighborhood. I already gave example of Bangladesh, how Bangladesh has emerged as a big power in manufacturing of textile. Bangladesh has 500 machines per factory on an average, where India has only 100 machines on average in per factory of textiles. Then the foreign investment has also not been that great. Because of lack of foreign investment, we have not seen very high-tech technology coming into this sector of textile. This is why the government of India wants to ensure that India's textile sector is also given a push, because it can generate employment and we can compete against other countries as well. Perfect. This is now time to begin analyzing the prelims specific news. Before that, let me quickly take up a few questions. Chico saying, what about the loss of profit if compulsory license doesn't give in emergency criteria? I'm not sure what your question is. I think what you're trying to ask is, the companies will not make profit when compulsory licenses are given. What happens to those companies? If that is your question, nothing happens to those companies. That is why the companies are very angry whenever compulsory licenses are given. The only thing that they can do is they can threaten that they will not introduce their products in India next time around. They will not introduce their medicines in India, but that is not really the case. We are now such a huge country, such a huge market, that the companies will have to bring their products to India. Compulsory licensing, that is why has been a matter of big debate in WTO as well. There is not much that the companies can do if government is deciding to give compulsory licensing to other Indian companies. Yes, you can use Hindu statistics. Please stop pasting the same question 10 times. You can use Hindu statistics. Then I have a question. PM Jan Aushadhi shops get cheaper medicine. Yes, see, PM Jan Aushadhi shops only sell those medicines that do not have a patent. They sell generic medicines. Those are anyways cheaper. They don't sell medicines, for example, which are specialized medicine, which only some companies own the patent for. Okay. Then let's see. Let me take one or two more questions. I have a question, how FDI can be increased. See, FDI is something that you cannot increase on your own. As a company, as a government, for example, you can only make your businesses better. You can only ensure that your businesses are easier, so that for foreign investors, it is attractive to invest in India. You can't force anyone to invest in India as such. You just want that the companies or the foreign money comes to India. They will come to India if they see a good opportunity for investment. We can do that by making our processes better. We can do that by making our processes much more efficient. That is what we can do from our own. But that doesn't mean that we can force anyone to invest in India as such. Okay. Then I'll take a question. I'll take one interesting question from Ram and then we'll go. Ram has a question. The patent owner company under compulsory licensing won't give away their formula. How can other company produce a copy of that patented drug? So no, Ram, it doesn't happen like that. When you have any medicine, so if you buy any medicine from the market, you will see on the back of the medicine, the ingredients are written. What is the ingredient? How much is mixed with how much? Is it 500 mg of this, 1 gram of this, etc. So for medicine specifically, the ingredients are anyways written. It's not that when a medicine is being sold, no one knows about it. For example, the Johnson & Johnson medicine that is being sold, everyone knows what the ingredient is. Patent just protects that from being copied as such. So it's not that when patent is given, they will not tell their formula, what is their formula exactly. The formula, etc. is written. The laws does tell that they won't be allowed to copy it. No one will be allowed to copy it. Under compulsory licensing, government allows someone to copy it and sell it at a cheaper price for the good of the people itself. That is the entire procedure. Okay, perfect. Let's move ahead then. Let's move on to the prelims point of view specifically. What exactly are the news stories that you have to remember for prelims? First important news story, Supreme Court has said that union territories, states and high courts, many of them have still not made an online RTI portal. They should do that within 3 months. Now, I am sure all of you would have seen the RTI law. RTI is right to information. In simple terms, you have the right to ask questions to public authorities. If you ask questions to public authorities, the law basically means that within 30 days you should get a response. Although there are certain exceptions, we will not go into that. But as per the law, if you have to file an RTI, you should be able to do that online. You should not have to be forced to go to that office, submit an appeal on paper. For the government of India, for example, at the central government level, we have an online RTI portal. You can file an RTI online very easily. It just takes 10 rupees fee. If you are from below poverty line, you would not even have to pay 10 rupee. But what has happened is, if you want to, let's say, file an RTI against the government of the state, or if you want to file an RTI, get information from a state government department, then for that, you can't put a request on the central government RTI portal. For that, you require the state government portal. But many state governments have not even made those portals online. This is where the Supreme Court has come in. They have said within 3 months, every state and every high court also will have to set up their online portal so that online RTI requests can be filed. The interesting part is, Supreme Court itself launched its own RTI portal just a few months back. If you remember, it was in November that the Supreme Court had launched its own RTI portal. So if you have some questions about Supreme Court and you want to file an RTI, in November 2022, that was also launched. So Supreme Court is saying, if we can also launch this, why is it that high courts and states and union territories cannot? Under Section 6 of the RTI Act, the information seeker has the right to ask for information through electronic means. So Supreme Court is saying that if someone has not set up online portal, this is a violation of the RTI Act. Some state governments have, some high courts have already done that, but many high courts and many state governments still have not set up these portals. As I told you, Supreme Court itself has launched its own portal in November 2022, where you can file online RTI with respect to Supreme Court. So they want the same now to be done at the high court level and also at the state government levels as well. Now, I don't know how many of you have filed the RTI so far, but I would really advise you, it's a very simple process. Go and file an RTI about any basic stuff, You just Google RTI online, you will go to that portal. The portal will ask you for information. Let's take a very simple example. Let's say the new parliament building that is being built. You can just file an RTI about the parliament building. File an RTI about what is the expenditure that the government is spending on parliament building, or you can ask questions about when will the new parliament building be open, or will people be allowed to visit the new parliament building or not. Any basic question about government scheme, about anything. Please do file an RTI so that you can learn exactly how the law works in real life. And you will get a reply. Usually for normal queries, you get a reply much before 30-day time period. It's an online process. You will just require 10 rupees to be filed. Also, if you are planning to file the RTI, let me just give you a very simple example. When you are filing the RTI, you will be asked about the ministry or the department from which you have to ask the question. So let's assume you have to ask this question about the new parliament building, that when the new parliament building will be inaugurated, or how much government has spent. In that case, if you see that they are asking you which ministry or which department is it that you have to select, if you don't know which ministry is responsible for this, don't worry, select any random ministry, any random department. Let me repeat. When you are filing the RTI online on the RTI portal, select any random ministry, any random department, doesn't matter, because the RTI law says if RTI has been given to a wrong department, it is the department's responsibility to transfer it to the correct department. Okay? So please do remember that part. So let's say you have to ask about some new parliament building. You can select, I want to ask from Ministry of Railways. Doesn't matter. They will transfer it to the current department. So you don't have to know anything. So make sure that you do file this. You will get a response in the email within, it's a normal query, within a few days you will get a response. Anyways, RTI also is one of those laws on which a lot of questions have been asked by the UPSC in both mains and the prelims examination. In 2019, as you know, the RTI law was amended. As per many critics of the government, the RTI law became weaker after 2019. There were many changes introduced. For example, in 2019, mainly the first change was about the term. Earlier, before this, the Chief Information Commissioner and the other Information Commissioner had a 5-year term. After 2019, the government got the power to decide the term. So government could change the term whenever they want. Right now, as per the government, it is within 3 years that the term would end. So government has given 3 years term right now, but they can change the term whenever they want. Then salary also was changed. Earlier, the salary of Central Information Commissioner was equal to salary of Chief Election Commissioner. So earlier, salary of CIC was equal to Chief Election Commissioner, and salary of Information Commissioner was equal to Election Commissioner. This was also changed. Now the salary will be decided by the government in a different manner altogether. So there were some changes that were introduced here as well. There are some people who are asking in the chat, what if they don't get a reply within 30 days? If you don't get a reply within 30 days, you can then file an appeal. So there are 2 levels of appeal basically, where you can file an appeal as well, but on the same RTI portal. I would advise you to check out the portal, see how the RTI is filed. It's a good learning process. The best way to learn about any government scheme, the best way to learn about any government initiative is to visit the website or the portal of that scheme, because you will get a lot of information there itself. So if you have to, for example, know about RTI, if you visit the RTI portal, just Google the RTI portal, you will actually be able to get a lot of information from there itself. That is a good way to remember for most of the government schemes. The next important news is a good news coming in from the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, where India's first cable-stayed railway bridge is about to be completed. Now, this is a project that has been going on for about 20 years now. Finally, it is near completion, but not yet completed. This is a railway bridge over the Anji Khad River. So there's an Anji Khad River over which this huge railway bridge, which is cable stayed, which is hung from the cable, that is now near completion. This will provide much better rail connectivity in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This is very close to completion now. That is why it is called the Anji Khad Bridge. The Anji Khad is the name of the river, so please do remember. The idea is that this bridge will be able to enhance connectivity from Jammu's Raisi district to Kashmir. So the connectivity between Jammu and Kashmir will be increased considerably. The government of India has been working on this bridge since the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. So it was the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government that had initiated this idea that we'll build such kind of a bridge, but it has taken a long time. Now there are a lot of reasons why making such a bridge is very difficult. When you are making such a bridge which is very high up over a sea, you have to build the best kind of engineering, the best kind of civil solutions have to be available. Also, there are a lot of factors that we have to take into consideration. For example, when you are building a bridge over the river, the wind speed is very high. So you have to account for wind speed also. Would the bridge be stable in the wind speed? When winds flow at a very high speed, the safety of construction workers is also compromised. So the work has to stop time and time again in between. But finally, the bridge is near completion now. You can see the photo of the bridge. It's given in these articles as well. This is the photo of the bridge. This will be able to enhance much better railway connectivity. Now, what is the organization that is building this? This bridge is being made mainly by Konkan Railway Corporation Limited and Hindustan Construction Company. Please remember, the Konkan Railway Corporation Limited is an expert in building railways in high altitude areas. So high altitude mountainous areas, building a railway track and railway network in these areas is very, very, very difficult. It requires a lot of imagination, it requires a lot of expertise. That expertise is mainly the job of the Konkan Railway Corporation. Because of them, it has been done. Also, this has been given the status of a national project. National project means project where maximum funding, most of the funding comes from central government. So when a project is declared as a national project, that means most of the funding comes in from the central government only. Please remember, this bridge is over the Anji Khad River in Jammu. Also, I have a small homework for you. You can tell me in the chat. Recently, there was another very high bridge that was inaugurated in the nearby area. It is considered as one of the highest railway bridges for railway lines in the entire world. Which bridge was that? That was recently inaugurated over which river? Tell me in the comment section after the video ends. So after the video ends, tell me over which river there is a nearby bridge inaugurated very recently. One of the highest railway bridges in the entire world that became very, very famous. Let's go ahead there and do leave it in the comment section once the video ends. The next important news story is about nuclear fuel. There is a new technique that has come up. The Chinese scientists are saying, looking at the nuclear fuel that has already been used, they may be able to identify how the nuclear fuel was used. Was it used in some weapon making? Was it used in some bomb? Was it used in, let's say, power generation, etc.? Where exactly was it used exactly? This is the new technique that they have now made. Now, from this topic, the most important part that you have to read about is the concept of nuclear waste. Nuclear waste is a problem which no country in the world has been able to solve completely. Nuclear waste means when you use nuclear fuel for, let's say, power generation, when you use a nuclear fuel for nuclear power plants, what do you do with the fuel that is still left? What do you do with the fuel that is still remaining? No country in the world right now has been able to resolve that question. Many countries usually try to just store it underground, but that is also dangerous because even if the nuclear fuel has been used, it still has certain radioactivity remaining. And if that radioactive material gets mixed with groundwater, it can be very, very dangerous. So, taking care of the nuclear waste still is a problem that we have not been able to solve. The Chinese scientists are saying they can identify from where the nuclear fuel originated. Did it originate from a nuclear power plant, for civil application, or did it originate from some other kind of application? As I said, nuclear waste still remains a problem. It is a byproduct, the end product that is left with after you have processed all the radioactivity from the plants, you have generated all the power that you could, and now the remaining fuel that you still have, it is still radioactive, that is called nuclear waste. Now, what do you do with that? No country, no nation has the answer to that. These waste still remain radioactive for few hours or even few months or years as well. Usually the solution that is found is landfills, that you just drop it in the land, but again that is not a permanent solution because that has a probability of endangering the environment in the nearby areas. Now, this nuclear waste also is very problematic because many countries have to transport it from one place to the other place. Many countries, when they have a nuclear waste, they don't want that to be in that population, which in those areas which are high populated areas. They want to just dump the waste in secluded areas. This is also where the problem starts because a transfer of nuclear waste also is a very big problem. There is something called exempt waste. Exempt waste means those waste which have been given the permission that yes, you can transfer that. Then we have high level waste. High level waste basically that is that waste for which you cannot transfer it. High level waste of nuclear proportion would be that waste that still has radioactivity remaining. High level waste would be the one that still is not allowed to be transferred. So what do you do when the nuclear waste is not allowed to be transferred? This is where this issue comes in the picture. Last year, the government of India had this idea that we will build something called AFR. AFR means away from reactor. So government of India has been trying to build a kind of a nuclear waste place where our nuclear waste can be disposed. The government of India wants that to be in the Kudankulam village. As you know, this is a village, or this is an area where India still has a nuclear power plant. The idea of the government is that the nuclear waste from the Kudankulam power plant should be dumped in a nearby village far away from the reactor. This is called AFR. But as expected, the local villagers in the Kudankulam district are not in favor of this. The state government of Tamil Nadu and also the local people in the villages are protesting against this. They do not want the nuclear waste to be dumped in their village. They do not want that the nuclear waste is nearby them, because they have read enough. They know the fact that nuclear waste do not become neutral for many months or many years as such. So dumping nuclear waste in the landfills is not really the solution. You might have a situation where they might get mixed up with water supply, or they might also get mixed up with vegetation as well in the long run. So no country has been able to get this solution. A lot of countries, a lot of big countries, let's say America, European countries, what they do is, many of them have very small islands, let's say in the Pacific. There are still very small island territories that are controlled by UK, controlled by France, etc. Those islands which do not have any population or have a very minute population. So many of these big nations, powerful nations that have nuclear energy, what they do is they actually use all these islands as a dumping ground. So whatever nuclear waste they have, they try and transfer this to all these islands from where their main population is not concerned. And that still remains a problem. The next important news story is from the MSME sector. MSME sector, which employs a huge number of people in India. It's a major contributor to the economy as well. The problem is the MSME sector's growth has been stagnated over the past few years. And the government of India is trying to argue that no, their growth has not stagnated. The government of India is saying that the growth of the MSME sector is still very, very high. As for the Ministry of MSME, they have been taking a number of initiatives to give boost to the MSME sector. For example, we have something called the Udyam portal. Udyam portal was launched by the government in July 2020, where MSMEs can register themselves. By registering there, they will have it very, very easy to pay income tax, GST, etc. So government, in simple terms, is making it easier for the MSMEs to work, to operate, to pay taxes, etc. so that they are not stuck in the process of taking permission, taking licenses. For this purpose, the Udyam portal has been launched. Also, I want you all to remember what exactly is the definition of MSME. So MSME, as you know, stands for micro, small, medium enterprise. So three types of companies come under this category. First, micro. Second is small, and third is medium. Please do remember these criteria. These are important for the prelims examination. First, micro enterprises are those that have an annual turnover of up to 5 crore maximum and investment in plant and machinery is up to 1 crore. They will be called micro enterprises. Small enterprises which have a turnover up to 50 crore, investment up to 10 crore. Then comes medium. Medium enterprise are those which have a turnover of 250 crores and investment of up to 50 crores. This is a new definition that was given in 2020. The government of India keeps changing these definitions after every few months. Please do keep a track of that. Please remember this from the prelims point of view. The MSME sector's definition for micro, small and medium enterprises. Also the Udyam portal, which the government launched, especially for the MSME sector. This is where they can register themselves and they will be able to get licenses, permission, income tax, GST benefits, whatever they require from here only. It is completely online, does not require any documentation, and it allows these MSMEs to do their business in a much easier manner as compared to what they used to do earlier. So make sure that you do visit the Udyam portal for just a couple of minutes. Just Google Udyam portal, just see the portal, how does it look. It will be very easy for you to remember a lot of stuff from those portals as well. This is how the Udyam portal is. The URL is udyamregistration.gov.in. Now, the last topic is about sleep and how it impacts human health. Now, this is a topic that is not important for prelims. So why am I discussing this here? Because this is important for you. I've taken up this topic just to let you know, in your UPSC preparation journey, please make sure that sleep is something that you do not ignore. You will not get questions from this topic as such, but this is my advice to you as your well-wisher. Please make sure you do not ignore the importance of sleep. Those people who say, no, I only sleep for 3 hours, 4 hours, etc., in the long run, that will not be very helpful for you. Sleep is not just about relaxing, sleep is also about re-energizing. So make it a part of your daily routine. Please have a sound sleep. Make sure that you have a fixed routine of sleeping, waking up early. Also, many people believe that no, I am a night person. Many of you also, in fact in this generation especially, people think that no, I am a night person. I will wake up till 3 a.m., 4 a.m. and then I will sleep. Please do not do that. There is a pattern how the human body works. There is a pattern how human body actually is at the highest energy in the morning. So please make sure you utilize those mornings. Please make sure that you do not lose out on the sleep. Don't fall for this fad, I'll only sleep for 2 hours or 3 hours. That is not good for you. This is not good. One topic related to sleep is something called circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm was something which was given Nobel Prize in 2017 also. Circadian rhythm basically means that your body gets used to a 24-hour cycle. Have you noticed how if you start waking up at, let's say, at 6 a.m. for 2 or 3 weeks, then automatically before the alarm wakes up, you will wake up at 6 already. Have you noticed that? How does that happen? You call it the body clock. The actual name is circadian rhythm. Your body, your neurons actually get used to the 24-hour cycle. How you wake up, at what time do you have to wake up, they all get used to it. This is called circadian rhythm. So people who have discovered this idea of circadian rhythm, they in fact got the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 2017. So please make sure that you do remember about this circadian rhythm. This is extremely important. Do take care of yourself. Do not ignore sleep in your preparation. That brings me to the end of this session of the Hindu Newspaper Analysis. There are a couple of practice questions for you as always. Read them out. Try to give an answer to these questions as well. All the very best, those who are going for the BYJU'S scholarship test. I hope all of you perform very well. I'll now see you next very soon. 10 a.m. is where you have to come in for the Hindu Newspaper Analysis. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.